Welcome to A Gay Dad with me, A Gay Dad. So let's start with 3 jokes that are really going to lower your expectations of this evening even more. First joke is this. What do you call a gay dinosaur? Sir Ian McKellen. Oh, it's wrong crowd for that one. What do you call a lesbian dinosaur with an unusually long tongue?
Like a lot of this.
Oh, nearly. Very popular on Tinder. What do you call a Tyrannosaurus Rex that likes absolutely lots of anal sex? Like I do. He got a Megasaurus! Yeah, I think that has lowered the expectations. It's maybe lowered the tone about right, okay.
Yeah.
So let's start. So this is chapter 3, Jack. So this is a big night for me, and because I am the very first openly gay, male, married maths teacher with a lesbian sister and a teenage son to perform at the Fringe. My family really wanted to be here tonight, but it was a hard no from me because you don't want people you love in the audience. You actually want people you don't give a crap about. So you all look absolutely perfect tonight, actually. But on a serious note, thank you for being here for what is the tiny night for you. It'll come and go and you'll forget it like that, but for me, it's actually a very big moment. Because I have wanted to perform stand-up my whole life, but just assumed I would not be good enough, and I was right. I did go see a comedian yesterday, whom shall not be named, and it turns out you can be really shit and still do it. So here I am. Yesterday I was walking out of Greg's, holding my husband's hand because I am very needy, when a young boy screamed the word faggot in my face, which was fine. Then he said, "Are you Jack Whitehall?" And I thought, oh God, there is no need to be offensive. Chapter 4, Am I a Threat to Civilization? So from about 1986, at the age of 5, I was told repeatedly and unashamedly by what seemed like the whole world that as a gay man I was disgusting, weird and a threat to civilization. I thought I was destined for a life of pure loneliness and isolation because I did not want to go anywhere near a vulva. I have subsequently changed my mind on this. I've never seen one, I've not even seen a picture on the internet, but my sister, who is a lesbian, has drawn it for me several times. Lesbian sketch artist, and every time she does it, she draws it slightly differently, so I'm not sure if he's taking the piss or not, but she always draws it with, and this will surprise, I think, about 95% of you. Downstairs in the biological female, there are not 2 holes, there are 3. Well, that's what my sister says. I'm still not entirely sure if that's true or not, but Mum did always say that horrible things come in 3s. So I think I might be right. There's no way of finding out, so we'll just never know. Chapter 5, The Ritz. It's the glitz and glamour of the Ritz. So I knew that I was gay from a very young age, mostly because lovely people used to shout it at me. So in the classroom, gay boy, in the corridor, puffed her behind the bike shed whilst I was wanking them off. And then they would punch me in the face, because there were an awful lot of gay straight men in those days, as I think maybe there are still now. But fortunately, we had the most proactive and positive Prime Minister at the time, the wonderful Baroness Thatcher. I know she's a bit of a controversial figure, what with the miners' strikes, Section 28 and being a fascist dictator, but for balance, her supporters would say she was a revolutionary who transformed Britain's stagnant economy, wouldn't they? Arguably, the best thing she did came towards the middle to the end of her career, when she dropped dead at the Ritz. The Daily Mail reported, so it must be true, that she spent the last 4 months of her life staying at the Ritz in Piccadilly because she was having difficulty getting up and down the stairs in her multi-million-pound mansion in Chester Square. Poor thing. It really makes me wonder if the miners stayed at the Ritz towards the end of their lives, and it also makes me wonder why she didn't get a Stannah stairlift. Now, it is popular opinion, but it is not my opinion, that Baroness Thatcher died of a stroke. But according to the coroner's report, she died of something a lot more convoluted and complex, but really interesting. And I've written it down, if I can get it out of my pocket, which I can't. And, oh God, it's just a really long word, like a medical thing. She died of, oh that's it, she died of being a massive cunt. So I've remembered another true story.
We're gonna go.
Okay. So this is chapter. Thank you.
6.
Yes, this is good. This is what I need. Chapter 6. Transubstantiation. Isn't it nice that us gays can now get married literally anywhere in the UK? So we can get married on the top of a big pile of old shit in the middle of a field, or we can get married on the top of Big Ben. And I don't mean the bell. Beware. That is, of course, we can get married anywhere except in the very accepting and tolerant world of the Church of England. Now, I don't want to show off, but I was brought up in the Church of England, and it was a very high type of church where the scout leader literally was a paedophile, and the only trans they did accept was transubstantiation. Now, we transubstantiated non-stop in our church, over here, over there, absolutely everywhere. And for those of you unlucky enough not to have been indoctrinated into the church at a very young age like I was, transubstantiation is the bit during Mass where the Lidl wafer and the Tesco wine magically transform into the body and blood of our Saviour Jesus Christ our Lord, such that we can eat him. Now, I was confused by this, but I asked the vicar, Father Paul real name. He said, it still looks like a little wafer, it still tastes like Tesco wine. It's actually Jesus Christ disguised as a little wafer and some Tesco wine. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Question if I think about it this way. Now, Father our vicar regularly preached that gay men were going to hell, but he never mentioned my lesbian sister Claire. Now, my sister says that's because lesbians tend to be pretty invisible in society. But isn't it nice? And she's here on stage with me tonight. Now, what number am I on?
7.
Thank you. Chapter 7, Baden-Powell. Now, we went to church all the time. I did the beavers, which is not a euphemism, obviously, the cubs and the scouts. My sister did everything she did. Rainbows, girl guides, brownies, and even reached the upper echelons of the Rangers, because she was the coolest girl in school. And she probably reached the height of her career when she achieved the Baden-Powell Award. I know. And you get that for such things as living a healthy lifestyle, being globally aware, and diversity, ironically. Robert Baden-Powell set up the Scouts in 1918, and in 1919 his wife, Olive St Clair Baden-Powell, quite a mouthful, which is not what my husband said, became the first chief lesbian in Britain. Very progressive. Wait, I said it wrong. Olive St Clair Baden-Powell, his wife, was the first chief girl guide in Britain, although is that a tautology? Or is it a simile and also English? Claire was a girl guide, Claire was a closet lesbian, yes, I think they mean the same. She was awarded with the highest honour any adult guide could ever achieve. Wait for this, in 1919, she was awarded with an Audi e-tron with panoramic sunroof and matrix and journey. She was awarded with like a World War I type medal, sounds nice, but not a big bold medallion or a 5-point star. She was awarded with the rubber little silverfish. Now, does anybody know what a silverfish is? Yeah, an insect. Did you want to add something to that? No? Yeah, like a grubby little insect, and it looks a bit like a fish, but it's tiny. And somebody in the audience this week said it eats your wool. Oh gosh, yes, it eats your wool. It will eat your carpet if it's damp, or if you've got a damp cupboard, it will eat through your cereal box. I had to look at it. So she was awarded with a silverfish, which I thought that's a very strange choice for the Girl Guides highest award. But then they do like rummaging through small, dark, wet crevices, and so do silverfish. Thank you. You may have heard of something called Black Lives Matter a few years ago. You may remember there was a whole statue thing. They considered getting rid of Baden-Powell's statue in Poole. Now I'm talking about the man, because obviously women don't deserve statues, do they? Now, Bear Grylls, I don't know if you know him, he got involved and said, no, don't get rid of this statue of Robert Baden-Powell. And I agree with him, because Baden-Powell may have been a confirmed racist and a vocal homophobe. I mean, he may have committed a few teensy-weensy war atrocities, and he may have supported Adolf Hitler's mind count, but at least he's not a woman.
Thank you. Oh yes, the whole audience. Chapter 8.
This is little stools. So we went to church all the time. Do you want? We went to church all the time, and we did an awful lot of kneeling and praying. So kneeling and praying, standing up and singing Jerusalem, and then we would kneel and pray, stand up and sing Jerusalem. And we would kneel and pray, pray and kneel and pray, pray and kneel. So we do a lot of kneeling and a lot of praying. I've often wondered, why do we have to kneel to pray? But I suppose it does make sense, and this is where a few people walked out a few nights ago. It does make sense to have, so get your shoes on. It does make sense to have children in this position if you are the vicar whose intention it is to force them into giving you an after choir blowy, because you're in just the right place. I think you might be surprised to hear that we were not abused by the vicar. I know, strange to believe, but true. That is not to say many other members of the congregation were not abused, of course. The scout leader, it transpired, abused many of the boys on scout camp. And what did the vicar do? Can anybody guess? Nothing, that's right. Just told him to toddle off to a different church, presumably to abuse some more boys.
Now, the Women's Institute were obviously horrified by that situation, as you would be, wouldn't you? And I'm not talking about the abuse, of course. Talking about the fact that their knees were getting a little bit grubby.
So we made some nice little knitted stools. Has anybody ever used them at church? So then you would pull your stool out, kneel to pray, push your stool in and sing Jerusalem. And then you'd pull the stool out and kneel to pray, push the stool in and sing Jerusalem again. So it's brilliant, it's like a whole different regime. My best friend of mine, but for legal purposes his name is Daniel, was the vicar's son. And he used to help me push my stool in at the end of every service, if you know what I'm saying. And if you don't, it's probably for the best. People pleaser. So I am inherently a people pleaser. So I am desperately trying to please you all right now. I'm trying to please you. On my wedding day, I people pleased everybody so much to the extent that I had to spend the subsequent month hiding in a small, dark room. Insert your own joke about dark rooms, if you know what they are. Do you know what dark rooms are? Yeah. Why is it so much more important for me to please a stranger that I do not like than to please myself? Insert follow-up joke about dark rooms. Is it? Since Mum died, I've been working really hard at changing all this. So no longer do I please people that I do not want to please, and no longer do I do things I don't want to do. So instead of meeting my training friend, don't say the real name, I can't help it, Deirdre, if she asks to meet me for coffee, I just tell her to for coffee now. Classic. And I no longer pretend that I believe in things I don't believe in. Things, just really stupid, pointless things, like women's rights or the woman's right to choose. It's just too stressful. Now, I have to tell you that was a joke because my mum would be twizzling in her grave if she thought she had raised a sexist bigot, like all straight white men are. Now, I have to tell you that's a joke because I know it's not all straight white men, and I know not all straight white men are 100% bigots. And I know that because my son is a straight white man, and he is only 87% bigot. So that is progress, my dears. And it's the best we can probably hope for. Chapter 10. A gay dad. I never believed that I would become a dad. I didn't think I'd become a dad because there's no way I was ever going to go anywhere near a vagina. But I did tell a little lie because I actually touched a vagina. Sorry, I feel a bit sick. I actually touched a vagina once. It was my mum's on my birthday. Fortunately, I was struggling so hard to squeeze my shoulders out that I couldn't give it too much airtime. And I say, I actually touched a vagina once, but I touched my mum's on her birthday, which is a very different joke if you think about it. Now, 17 years ago, as I say, I've been with my husband for 20 years. We started the adoption process. It wasn't easy, it took us 3 years, and then eventually somehow, I think we got put in the wrong pile and we were given a baby. I honestly do not know how, because we kept getting told by social workers, children need a mum. And I kept saying, a man can be just as good a mum as anybody. Some people have a good mum, some people have a bad mum, some people have a good dad, some people have a bad dad, except for non-binary. inclusive, blah blah blah. The University of Cambridge proved an evidence that same-sex parents give just as good outcomes as straight parents. It's almost as though your genitals don't determine how good a parent you are. But the world still seems to think it does matter. Anyway, 1,118 things that will massively surprise you about my gay family. Oh, I said it wrong. Chapter 11. 8 things that will massively surprise you about my family. 1. He does have a feminine influence. Social workers were like, well, where's the feminine influence going to come from? Me. 2. Having 2 gay dads is just as boring to him as having a mum and dad is to everybody else. Whatever you've got. 3. Despite my best efforts, and I've worked really hard at this, my son is straight. Oh, there's a scribbled message from Aidan. Don't worry, even though the show isn't funny, it still counts as stand up tax purposes. 4. We go to a football match every Saturday. Okay, it's a fun. 5. Walking around town with my dad, me and my son, strangers would stop us and say, you look like 3 peas in a pod. Which is weird, isn't it? Because we're not genetically related. But it could be because I always make us wear badges in. Please stop us and say we look like 3 peas in a pod. Even though I tried to turn that into a joke. People have done that many times, and I think you morph into your child in the same way that couples sort of morph into each other. You sort of dress the same, you start to act the same. Now my son, everything he likes is very, very straight, despite me. He tried to take the piss out of me and like act all campy, he still looks straight. No matter what he does, he looks straight in the same way that no matter what I do, and I'm trying now, I still look camp, even if I'm trying to be straight. It's annoying. 6. My son, if you ask him, does not want a mum. And I think that probably works for anybody that hasn't grown up with a mum when they're little. 7. My son does not get bullied for having gay dads. They told me many times he was going to get bullied for having gay dads. People regularly say that I'm not a real dad, and I do not know why the semen gets all the credit. Chapter 13. Testicle transfer. When you adopt a child, it's very important to transfer the attachment. You do this during introductions. You meet your child really slowly over 2 weeks. So the first day, you look at them from a distance. The second day, you hold their hand. The third day, you take them for a walk, blah, blah, blah. And then after 2 weeks, you live with them. So it's supposed to take 14 days. But our social worker was so obsessed with this introduction transfer that ours took 16,000 billion years. It took actually longer than the universe has ever existed, strangely. We are benefiting from that now because we've got a very secure attachment. The problem was, at the time I got really run down, but it didn't come out as a way of like, coughs and sneezes. It came out in the way that whenever I ejaculated, it felt like I was choosing to inject my own testicle with pure mercury. Instead of being like, oh yeah, oh, it was like, oh. Like, glasses didn't fall off. It was like, ejaculation was like, I was choosing to saw my own testicle in half with a bread knife that was blunt and sharp. Has anybody had that? It didn't stop me masturbating, of course.
You should go to the doctor about that.
Chapter 14 is, am I dying? So I went to the doctors. I walked into the doctors and the doctor was like this kind of small, really sweaty, really bad breath and had a massive mole in the middle of his forehead. But he had just the right amount of being a rich doctor for me to find him strangely attractive. He said, take your trousers off, and it was a cold day, take your pants off. And then he said, put yourself and your little cocktail sausage on the top of this bench. Now, he didn't actually say the last bit. I knew that's what he was thinking. I got on, and then he proceeded, also true, to get his finger, put it into my anus, and wiggle it around for what was not an unpleasurable. And then proclaimed that I was going to have to stop masturbating, and I was like, God, no, please no. Because obviously I masturbated to put myself to sleep, like everybody does. And also to wake myself up in the morning. Sometimes at the gym, occasionally at work. I'm not sure why, but whenever I hear Jerusalem. Anyway, I thought I was dying, of course. So I finally plucked up the courage to say, oh, what's wrong? Why do I have to stop masturbating? And he said, all this rocking the table is making it really difficult. Anyway, the upshot was that I had prostatitis. So it was nothing serious, it's inflammation of the prostate. So I just took some drugs, felt much better, but actually felt fantastic. I hugged the doctor, tried to kiss him, thought, oh my God, popping a knee wasn't the right drug for prostatitis, so I went to the chemist to get a prescription. When I got home, I told my sister all about it, and a quick Yahoo search later, she said, in order to prevent a repeat episode of prostatitis, you must clear oneself out every day, which obviously translates to every day, which is not what you want to hear from your sister, is it? But anyway, it seems to have worked, and she's pretty sexy, so. Chapter 15. It's hard, isn't it hard to count when you're in the middle of something? Well done, 15. Chapter 15, semen. So, talking about face cream, my sister rang me a few years ago and said she needed some erectoplasm. She said she needed some semen to help with her UTI, but I didn't think semen was going to help the situation very much. It turns out she wasn't trying to get a urinary tract infection, she was trying to start IUI, which is intrauterine insemination. IUI is when the doctor separates out the better quality sperm from the sperm that is sluggish, non-moving, or reminds you a little bit too much of cottage cheese, and then it is inserted into the uterus, hopefully to make a baby. This is not funny, but I learnt it, so I'm saying it. Different from IVF, which is in vitro fertilisation, and that's where the eggs are harvested from the ovaries, fertilised in a lab, and then the embryo is implanted into the womb. Thank you. Thank you for the nodding, because that was a bit of biology, which I'm not quite sure, but Claire told me all about it for years and years. It turns out having children as two women is equally as difficult as two men. And also, IVF. I just went down a rabbit hole in IVF, and now we're on to chapter 16. So Claire's is the one with the turkey baster. Now you have to understand, my sister Claire was not asking for my own personal jamba juice, because she's not into incest. In the way that I have always been. If I had a really hot, sexy gay brother, I would obviously be all over that. Whilst my sister is hot enough, she isn't a man, and despite my best efforts, she simply isn't trans, which is sad but true. So there's no incest here. I mean, I love joking about incest, but she's gay and I'm gay, so it doesn't make any sense at all, does it? So where were we? Right, I'm confused, are you? Yes. Oh no, you don't seem confused. So my sister's looking for some lovely cure to turkey based into her fufu, which is called Karen, but I've never asked her why. Now, as a maths teacher, I surprisingly did not know where to find the best baby batter. I did say I can recite pi to 17 decimal places, but she didn't seem to think that was going to help the situation very much. 2.141592535897933. I just had to do it. It was in the script. And no one's enjoyed it, I just need to get through it. Then the next bit is, she must have found some semen, because every time I visited her freezer from then on, stealing ice pop, I found fresh funnels of fun gel. I've been married to my husband for over 10 years by this point, so it had been a very long time since I had tasted any semen, other than my husband's. And my own, of course. I was reluctant to try it. I didn't want to try it because I was trying to lose fat. But then I found out semen is only 5 calories a pop. So I dived right in. I would say it tasted of a mixture of Pornhub and plastic. So I couldn't get enough of it. I did accidentally drop a little bit on my sister's carpet, which I had ironically spent the last few months saying, Claire, are you sure white carpet's best idea? But I rubbed it in and you couldn't even see it. The only problem was, you could smell it, but only if you got your nose very close to this rug. And I thought, what are the chances of my lesbian sister having her nose so close to this rug? Do I need to say any more? Chapter 17. Which way does your penis or cervix lean? If you want to volunteer it, shout it out. 3, 2, 1, now. Well, my penis leans to the left, like a really long way to the left. Is that normal? Is what I'm here to find out. Doesn't seem normal.
You said leans left?
Leans to the left?
Are you right-handed?
Yes. Are you right-handed?
No, I'm left-handed.
Oh, I
Leans
see.
to the right.
Oh, nice. Well, interesting. Well, it's not a big penis, and it's not a clever penis. Don't get me wrong, it's not a micro penis, but that'll be fine. But let's put it this way, when my ex recently tried to get back at me for a very long-standing thing on Facebook by describing him as only slightly below average, my penis was over the moon with that review. Coincidentally, it's also the best review this show has had. 3 ways of making your penis appear larger than they really are. Information giving, so it's like a service. You'll be interested in this, not very much. The first one of which is... What? At the urinal, the classic of, I could just hold him like this, obviously, and at the end do a little, and then popping away. As we all do. I hold him like with my little finger there, and stand like this. Do the classic, with your sound effect, make it massive. I don't want to do this, of course, you must understand. It's my penis that exists. We all do that, don't we? Second thing, very important, that we learned on Sex and the City if you was old as me, was shave. Because my God, it makes it look so much bigger. So like, just get rid of it all, is my advice. And no, it's not my advice, sorry, it's my penis's advice. Now, third thing that my penis insists that I do to make him appear larger than he really is. And this is very important, and it's quite an easy thing to do, so you too could do this. And do it straight away, do it when you get home. It's really annoying me. He insists that I always have a... Oh, I'm having real difficulty with this one. Not quite as fluent as it usually is, but I did get a bit carried away today. Ugh. It's tied up with this, that's there. He insists that I always carry a 3-foot bagel. Oh my God! So where were we? What were we doing? Can anyone remember? Something about my penis. What's the point of this? Not much, but my penis points to the left. Yeah. My penis leans so far to the left that no matter wherever I am in the whole wide world, my penis is always facing Mecca. For that reason, I did consider becoming a Muslim. But I just like pork, Inga, my husband, way too much. So they wouldn't let me in, which is sad, isn't it? Finished it. I had a revelation a few weeks ago because my sister told me in confidence that her cervix leans to the left, right? My penis leans to the left. And I'm a liberal lefty type. My sister's cervix leans to the left and she's a liberal feminist lesbian. So in a very Sex and the City type of way, I got to thinking, does the direction of our genitals determine our political alliance? Just have a think for a minute, does it work for you? Left, right, centrist. Now, in a similar way, if our alliance changes in the way that Donald Trump went from a Democrat to a Republican, is that a consequence of the way your penis is pointing? Or is it simply because you are a massive twat?
The semen through, mate.
Just still thinking about the way to see that. Chapter 18. Denture, anyone? So I've been working really effing hard to get some abs for the Fringe to detract from the fact that I'm not funny, attractive or clever. Now I've noticed a few people looking at me in my eyes tonight, and I want eyes down. It took me ages to work out how to get abs. I finally worked it out. But then I realised, oh God, once you get them, you only have them in certain light, with certain baby oil on, so in a vain attempt to get ripped, I've been doing an awful lot of cardio. So 8 weeks ago, I was cycling past a local prison when I saw a tiny prisoner trying to escape by abseiling down the side of the building, and I thought, that's a little condescending, a bit like this joke. And it was very distracting because at that moment, a concrete mixer came round the corner, smashed into a prison van and knocked me off my bike, smashing my face. As my face approached this curve, all I could think was keep your eyes open and your awareness about you, because this heady mix of concrete and convicts was sure to result in some freshly hardened criminals about. I lost several teeth, but managed to save them, and I got this one. Oh. So, I got a gash in my teeth, can you see it? And I'm not allowed to say tramp. My sister said, don't say tramp. But I feel like I look like a tramp. What a horrible place to lose a tooth. It must have looked bad because the prison guard, Albert, came out to help. I think I went into medical shock when Albert arrived on the scene because it was absolutely awful. Like, I cannot describe how bad it was. He was wearing a bronze shirt with pink lapels and a red tie. I mean, the accent was bad enough, but this uniform. So, as I bashed my teeth out on the curb, the first thing I felt was my teeth smashed to pieces. Second thing I felt was blood in my mouth. And the third thing I felt, when I tried to feel, was Albert's penis. I simply wasn't into it. Now, it could have been because there was blood everywhere, or it could have been because the centre of my lip was at the side of my face, or it could have been that he's just not a morning person, but we will never know. Anyway, he was good. He put me in the back of his van and he took me to hospital. I was sitting in the back of this van opposite another prisoner. Fortunately, he was a small one. He was sitting on a bench handcuffed to a pipe, so it would have been fine. I could have taken him out if I needed to. We chatted for a little bit, then I thought, he's a little conceited. I don't know if he likes. I found out his name was Dominic. He really reminded me of my friend Dom from school. Because my friend Dom used to steal sweets every night on the way home from the corner shop. And in retrospect, I think he should have gone to prison and become a con Dom. Doesn't really make any sense, but I just want to say the word condom lots of times, so I did. Right, where are we now? So anyway, when I arrived at hospital, I'm not religious anymore, but I was genuinely in such a lot of pain that I fell to my knees and I started praying. The problem was, because there wasn't a scout leader trying to force his cock into my mouth, I didn't know what to do next. Anyway, the doctor said that I had concussion and Albert should keep me chatting. So, Albert droned on about prison life. He told me he works in the prison library, which has got its pros and its cons. He said, you've got to be really careful and cautious of the white prisoners. I was like, oh my god, that sounds racist, tell me everything. He said, you've got to be really careful of the white prisoners because they're the only ones you can be sure have actually committed a crime. And then he said very indignantly, prison may be a single word to you, but to many others it's a very long sentence. Let's move quickly on to chapter which is 19, but I'm running out of time, which is maths jokes that didn't even make the kids in my school laugh for the past 20 plus years. There's quite a few in, so I'll just pick out the worst one for you. I've been a maths teacher, truthfully, for 20 something years, and compared to teaching, smashing my face out on the corner of a raised concrete curb actually came as light relief. Strangely petrified as an A-level maths teacher of negative numbers. My head of department doesn't like it, but I will stop at nothing to avoid them. Let's do this bit first because this is meant to come before that bit. So, I've forgotten it. Let's do the bit. Ofsted came in a few weeks ago to observe me, as they often do. You think I get a good report, but you never know what sort of bollocks it's going to say. After the lesson, he called me in and said, despite getting the best results in the county, it was suspicious of my methods. I was carrying a huge piece of graph paper at the time, so I think he thought I was plotting something massive. So this is two things Ofsted actually said to me. Why was I teaching the kids to get an A star in A-level maths using a black pen and not a green one? The second thing he said was, why was my A2 maths lesson on integration not as interesting and dynamic as Miss Jenny's Year 7 drama lesson? Like, I don't know. That's worse. I'm talking about the jokes because that afternoon, the office secretary told me off for putting invisible ink into the printer. Whilst I think everyone can see this punchline coming a mile off, whenever I say this, everyone looks blankly at me. But I could not see what the problem was. It's the punchline. I drag it out so long I've forgotten what the start is. That's 20. So why am I really doing this? One, do I genuinely want the world to know? And what I usually say now is, oh, just you two. There's actually a few more people in here tonight. So I want all of you to know that children from same-sex parents actually can be incredible success stories. That's a very important one. Two, I want anyone thinking of having children or struggling with having children to know that a genetic bond to your child is not as important as you think it is. My son could not care less that he is not genetically related to me. I am his mum, essentially, because I am the one that looked after him so much when he was little. I thought, will I care? But actually, no, I don't care. My sister's got a mix and match. Some that are her genetic children, some that are not. It just really doesn't matter there either. So I want people that are thinking of having children or struggling with having children to know a genetic bond is not as important as you think it is, and I want to encourage more people to potentially adopt children. That there's a lot of vulnerable children that do actually need help. And the third thing I want you to know is that we're all going to die, and you're going to die. I sort of knew this when my auntie died of breast cancer when I was 20, and we all became vegan to try and stop ourselves getting breast cancer. I'm not sure why, but we did. And I also sort of knew because when I was 8, our neighbour, Helen Noble, died in a road car accident. She was about 10, and it was sad, and it's not a joke. She died on the same day as a very famous Helen. You may know her, it was Helen Daniels from Neighbours. So that night, me, Mum and Claire were genuinely crying on the sofa for our Helen. While we watched Kylie and Jason cry on the sofa for their Helen. Anyway, I'm just trying to put off the next one, which is on chapter 21. So this is the day Mum died. So I woke up really early the day Mum died because I had a wank to do. I'm joking. That's inappropriate, isn't it? Especially the day your Mum died, you shouldn't be saying that. The real reason I woke up is because I had 2 wanks to do. Thank you. Shouldn't have said that, that was inappropriate. The real reason I woke up is because despite the stupid joke, this is the genuine story of my mum's dead today. So I woke up really early because I had to get the house ready for my son's 10th birthday party. By 10 o'clock, everyone had arrived except Mum and Dad, who were always 20 to 30 minutes early to absolutely anything. When they did finally arrive, Mum said that they were late because she had been getting some washing done. And in retrospect, I'm thinking, why was she doing washing on the day she died? But she didn't know she was going to die. And it is nice to get the washing done, but it made me think, we're all going to do something on the day we die. It's not like Hollywood, someone's going to say, I love you all, and then going to go to sleep. It's like, you're going to go have a big poo, and then you're going to drop dead. The second reason they were late is because they went to the Big Boots to pick up some foot cream because they were dancing in the evening, but spoiler alert, she doesn't make it to the dancing. By 11 o'clock, everyone had arrived. By 12 o'clock, I set the table. I set myself next to Mum because I am/was a mummy's boy. By 12:30, I got the food and the table completely ready, and now me, Mum and Claire were vegans, and we'd had difficulty finding nice food as vegans for a long time. We were incredibly excited we could finally find some nice vegan party food, so we were looking forward to not having our usual lettuce, tomatoes and old cardboard boxes. We had actual vegan pizza. This is at 12:30. Mum took her first piece of vegan pizza and I took mine. I circulated and played the perfect toast, and then came back and I'd finished my pizza, and I looked at Mum and I noticed that she was still eating the same piece of pizza, and I looked and asked her a question, and she mumbled the answer. She never mumbled an answer. And I looked at her face and it was drooping at the side of her mouth, and I thought, she's having a stroke. So I panicked, but I acted really quickly, but not quickly enough because by 12:50 she was lying on the floor. She was foaming at the mouth, and then by 12 o'clock she was dead. She had died on the floor in the middle of my son's 10th birthday party. So, just moves on, doesn't it? So it really brought it home to me that if it's something you want to do, you've got to do it now, because you could literally die at any moment. You don't know how long you've got. My mum died when she was like 60 something. Her mum died when she was 60 something. I've got like 20 years left. So I have to do this. So it went from the happiest party day to like the worst day of my life, because Mum had literally dropped dead at my son's birthday party. Anyway, I'm here and I'm doing it. Good or bad, I do not know, but I'm finally here and I'm finally doing it. You'll be happy to hear that I am done and you are done, and that we have finished and you are free to go. So,